Hey YouTube, today I'm going to do something a bit different. This wee amp here, which is behind me unfortunately by the way my room's set up, you can never see my amp. The mic is trying not to stand between the mic and the speaker. This is a peavey Rage 158 which has been sitting in my hall for the last 6 months. My pal Dal gave it to me to try and sell, but it's got, I've not got down to it yet. Also it's got a bit of a noisy, I don't know if you can hear it, it's got a bit of a buzz even when it's not on. But when it's plugged in, there's a, is it the transformer's a wee bit noisy, which might not bother some people, but it annoys me. So what I'm going to try and do is see if I can, how I would get on with this amp if I didn't have my wee laney, which is I've relegated to the floor just now. See if it works. Like, I mean, this is like kind of, I think you call it old school. It says trans tube, so it's got a sort of, it's meant to sound, you know, like a simulation of a tube amp, which I don't know if it will. Like I've literally turned it on to make sure it worked 2 seconds ago. But so interesting, sort of 10-inch speaker. I think it's 15 watt. I think. You've got 2 channels. You've got a pre and a post, and you've got a switch for the gain channel, and then a 3-band EQ. And that's kind of it. I'm using my Washburn E5, which I just put coil splits in and changed the switches on last week or the week before. Just really want to play this guitar a bit more than I just have been recently. I thought I was going to decide to use a guitar that had coil splits so I can get the sort of single coil sound as well. So straight into the clean channel. I'm not going through my pedal board just now. I might plug it in 5 minutes, or if I can't get anything out of it, I'll see what it sounds like with the pedal board, and then if it's not working, I might just swap over and put the other amp on. It should, so there might be a minute of silence, or I'll maybe try and talk shit while I'm doing that. So let's see what we've got. So bridge pickup humbucker, clean. Oh, it's sharp. It's also really damn loud. That's it at volume 2. Coil split out. I'm normally on the 2 amps I use, the Laney and the Sovtech, they're kind of, it's actually quite a buzz that's coming out just now. When you've got the dials at sort of 12 o'clock, it already sounds good, whereas in this one I'm already, even though I only turned it on 2 seconds ago, reaching for the EQ to try and tame some of the treble. I don't know if that's coming through, but really, that's really sharp sounding. Oh, that sounds better when using, okay, that's be neck pickup humbucker. Still dead trebly. Have a single coil. Both pickups on with on single coil. Try killing some tone in the guitar. I'm kind of warming to it a little bit after the initial shock of it being a bit not what I'm used to. You really do have to kill the tone a bit though. Now you turn it all the way off though, it disappears. You just have it on a wee bit. Well, it's certainly good enough for practicing in the house. That buzz is doing my head in though. I think I might have had I told Dal when I got it that there was something up with the transformer. It was a bit noisy. So I'll probably be selling this for absolutely buttons if anyone looking for an amp once all this is over. Certainly good enough. It's probably a handy amp to have if you've occasionally got your pals over and you're just looking for like a sort of a second amp if someone wants to play, you know, guitar along with you, where you get to use your good amp, or even I suppose in the house, you know, if you're like me and you've got like your Sovtech or your Marshall stack or something for playing loud at gigs and stuff, you're just looking for something that's a bit quieter. For me in the house, so I would need to get, I think, to be fair, I think that one is broken, like there's something wrong with the transformer which is making that buzz. I don't think it should do that. I'm not even sure if you can hear it. Just that I'm very pernickety because I live in the middle of nowhere, so it's like it's super silent. I actually freaked out a bit a few times when I was up when I first moved here, and it was like I could hear folk talking outside, and it's like or someone would cough and I'd jump out my skin, and it's like, you know, the street is 20 yards away, and someone coughing and be like, what the. And then you'd look out the window and you can't even see the person or that far away. You know what I mean? I could literally open that window and talk to somebody 100 yards away and hear them. It's that quiet here. So I'm used to absolute silence. If you've got a busy road outside, you're not going to hear that buzz. Yeah, but I could totally play that, no problem. Right, we're going to see what we're actually using single coils, so. But, you can sort of hear it on humbuckers. You can sort of hear its boxy practice amp a bit more. I imagine that's going to be even worse when I try the distortion channel. So I'll learn from when I turn that's speaking the volume at 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the distortion channel down, because when I turned this on to make sure it was on, and I nearly blew my head off. So starting off at very preamp. See if I can get some. Used to be an angle many years ago. The rain, the rain, lies upon the snow. But West That's totally usable. Get much that's about as subtle a distortion as you get. That's making the preamp down, but it's only just engaged. So it's a kind of funny one. For only being 15 watts, it's incredibly loud. I mean, that's me. I've got that sitting at the preamp and the post are both pretty much just engaged. I can't really turn them down anymore where sound comes out. Yeah, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stick in my pedal boardy thing, just the way I would normally use it, because normally I don't really use the drive channel on the wee laney. If I just use the cable that I've got, which one is it? That one? It's the black one. Where are you? Not that one. That one. So this would normally be stuck in at the front of the wee laney. So I'll put it on the clean channel. And then turn off the tuner. Just interested to see what it sounds like if I'm using my usual pedals in front of it. It's not bad. And I always use my rat pedal. Yeah, I think that's actually not too bad. I mean, that's considering I'm using an amp which I'm probably going to sell for about 20 quid. They're sort of 30, 40 quid on, if you look them up on eBay and stuff like that. So you're talking about that sort of price, and the rat pedals with the Mosky one, which was 12 quid. So I'm using sort of 30, 40 quid's worth of stuff. Okay, this is this is a nice guitar I'm playing through it, but I would definitely wouldn't struggle with that too much. I would actually say that that's a closer sound to what I would want. Like to what I would want is the Sovtech or that wee Laney with the rat pedal, and that's kind of closer than what the wee Line 6 amp I've got. I've got a wee battery operated Line 6, which is kind of like, I would class as being a modern type thing, when you get all your you've got like 4 different presets or digital modelling stuff, whereas this is like old-fashioned as you get. Amp, you know, it's just, it does have a drive channel, but if you're running a wee distortion pedal through it, seems quite metal. I'll try and what's my worst one, Stack in a Box, which is my not so much distortion pedal. Yeah, so bear with me for 1 second. I shall unplug that baby and stick my wee laney back in again. Stick that on the floor. Done. I don't know if you can still hear that transformer buzz, but that's it off now. So laney, all I need to do is plug in the lead I just took out, goes into the input. And I will plug in the power lead as well, being the other one I really need. I normally play this through the wee 3x12 cabinet, or the 3x12 cabinet sitting below it. But for purposes of this, I will not. Yeah, so let's see what the actual difference is. The tube amp, so it takes a wee while to warm up. Interestingly, that amp doesn't have a standby switch, even though it's a tube amp, which seems strange to me, but there you go, see, that's it. Doesn't seem very loud. Is that because I've bashed the volume control? So if I'm really honest about it, there is a bit of a difference. Actually, the most difference I'm getting is that I keep going on about that power, that transistor noise. That sounds like that means I had the reverb on. Yeah, okay, so that wasn't really a very fair representation. I've obviously stood on the reverb pedal. That's everything. No, hold on. I know what the problem is. That switch isn't turning off the reverb because I've not plugged the switch in. So this is it with the reverb off. Ah. So this would be the clean channel, and because this guitar has powerful DiMarzio or Washburn power sustained pickups in it, you can actually drive it into drive. So if I clean it up, see that wee peavey didn't do this. Really noticing the difference in the highs, the trebles. Like instead of being sort of sharp and piercing, they're still really quite trebly on this, but they're much more ringy, bell-like, lovely. Wow, that's treble, isn't it? See, already I've got used to, since I got that Trace Elliott 3x12 cabinet, I've been using that because it just sounds bigger. This amp's got the same 10-inch speaker that the wee peavey does. Well, when I say the same, it's got a 10-inch speaker as well, but this one has a Jensen speaker, like an expensive speaker in it, like from Standard. That's also like a £400 amp. So a second hand are about, I think you see them for about $250 sort of thing. And as I said, you see the peavey for like sort of 25, 30 quid. So it's 10 times the price. And yes, it definitely does sound better. But see, if you've not really played the guitar for very long, like less than a year or two, I wouldn't really think there's much point in having the really nice amp unless you can play it properly, because you're not really going to notice the difference the same way as you have once you've played for a few years. I mean, there is a certain amount of, like with a guitar, you need to get one that plays okay, right, if you know what I mean. So you need one like a Buckfastry ones where it's set up so it plays, doesn't buzz, everything works fine, and you know it's easy to play and it works, so it's not holding you back. And then a wee 10 watt amp, or if that's a 15 watt, something like that, is brilliant for learning your chops. You're not even really going to notice huge differences in sound until you start knowing what you're doing. I mean, I'm talking maybe, I say a couple of years, you're talking about more than that. You know, once you're able to sort of comfortably play with a bit of, obviously some people learn immediately, but for me myself anyway, I just wanted at the start, my first amp was a BB Blaster. In fact, my first amp was actually called a Badger, which I would actually buy another one of. It was like purely because it was called a Badger, and I've also got a Badger guitar. Someone was selling one and it was like 40 quid they wanted for it. It was like, when the Badger amp I didn't have distortion on it, that was a big thing, and like we're talking about late 90s, and this amp must have been from the 80s. And the big thing he wanted was distortion, and the Badger didn't have that. I think it just had a volume and a tone, or maybe a volume, a bass, a treble, something like that. So it didn't even have distortion, which is just not what I wanted. I needed one that had a switch in distortion thingy. I didn't even look at pedals because pedals were 50 quid, you know, for a Boss pedal. I mean, now you can get pedals for like that, things like that. Wee Rat there was 12 quid. Now you can get things like that for 12 quid, because back then you couldn't, so I wasn't even thinking about a pedal. I just wanted a distorty sound. And then I got my BB Blaster amp, or an equivalent of the BB Blaster, which had its sort of slammed on full fuzz type, just full gain, and I used that for years. I actually even used to practice with that amp, the wee BB Blaster, when I had the soft tech. It's just I couldn't be bothered turning the soft tech on, because you had to turn it on and then wait, because it's a valve. You hit the power, then you hit the stand, wait for 30 seconds or a minute, and then turn this down. I just couldn't be bothered doing that. So I used to use this wee 10 watt BB Blaster. I've actually got one kicking about somewhere. You can get the BB Blaster, comes in. The BB Blaster was just the one I had. The reason I liked that one was because it had, instead of having like bass and treble, it had beef and tweak and enjoy, what the knobs were called, but they're all basically the same amp. You get your 10 watt standard amp that's got, you can sometimes some of the things have changed on the front. Sometimes it's got like 2 phono inputs for your your MP3 player. Sometimes it's got like a switch for the gain. Sometimes it's got the switch and a gain dial. And then, but it's basically, you can tell just by looking at it, it's the same amp. It was obviously a good design. I mean, those things are alright. I mean, it's like, see if you're sitting going to a party or going round to your pal's house, sitting having a few beers, and there's folk with acoustics, something, having a guitar that plays electric, it's totally fine with doing that. You don't really hear it the same way when you're in a band mix, with drunk folk singing along and stuff like that. It's totally fine. But when you're sitting like I am just now, being a pure hi-fi snob, but I'm not a guitar snob, as you can see. I mean, but I do appreciate nice guitars, and but I'm a little bit of a tube snob these days. Not that I'm saying that every tube amp is good. I had a Granger one which I just couldn't get on with. It was it was based on a Vox AC30, and I don't know what it was about it. It just didn't do it for me. If you look back, it had it sitting on the X. It looked amazing, but it didn't do it. Whereas the Softtech and the wee Laney does do what I want. Also, it boils down to what it is you want. So many people get all their opinions from what the pros say, or what folk on YouTube or what folk on forums say. Ultimately, it's whatever you like yourself. I mean, just because I don't like multi-effects units and very rarely use effects, just because my favourite guitar sounds are like sort of Sabbath and early Judas Priest and the Stones and stuff like that. Where back then they didn't have mega distortion and all these things, so they didn't use it. But I mean, that's just because that's what I like. Same with like your chorus and stuff like that. Just because I remember when I was first came of age, when I was like 18, 19 and stuff like that, and anything with chorus in it was pure hated it. And now I can kind of sort of get it. It's just, it's not really my thing. I can appreciate it occasionally. Also remember having an argument with a guy who said, was one of my Washburn, was it the Falcon or something like that. It's like, oh, that sounds like a really good guitar. First thing I do is I might buy one if I can get one really cheap, and then I'll stick my Seymour Duncan JB and thing. And it was like, you're alright. So my reply was, yeah, the pickups in it are really good. But the Seymour Duncan JB is the best pickup you can get. It's just the best. And it was alright. And you could just tell that this guy's, on his forums, everyone's like, whoa, it's the best pickup in the world. And it's like, right. Why don't you try listening to it? See what it's like. To start with, I love these Washburn Power Stains, which are they're actually Ibanez Super 70s, so they're kind of sort of like a DiMaggio Super Distortion type thing. It's all just down to what you like. I mean, obviously when you get to a point where a pickup can be shit, or an amp can be shit, where it just doesn't work, where nobody could possibly like it. It's like when it doesn't work, or it's only too loud, or it doesn't have any treble at all or any bass at all, so you can, there's a wee bit of wiggle room, but just doing something different doesn't mean it's not good. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't think these amps aren't very popular. I've certainly never seen anyone talking about them. And as far as I know, they still make it. So I'm obviously here. Whatever it does is for me, isn't for what it is for everyone else. I mean, it's talking about the Seymour Duncan thing as well. I mean, I'm not a huge Seymour Duncan pickup fan. I've not really come across a guitar that I thought, oh my god, this sounds amazing. These pickups are fantastic with Seymour Duncan's in it. I can sort of recognise it when I've got Phil there's got Seymour Duncan's in it. What are they? They're called 59s or something like that, Super 59s. And yes, they sound good, but you can kind of see when I don't. Again, this might be in my head when I'm sitting there and I try and play it. It's a bit like Slash. Totally sounds like Slash. Is that sound? Which is, if that's really what you want, then that's really what you want. If that's your favourite, I mean, I suppose if I was sitting there, I'm slagging that off, saying, "Oh, you want to sound like Slash," you know, buying your Les Paul and your Marshall and all that. I mean, if someone said, "Oh, you're sounding exactly like Tony Iommi," I'd be like, "Fucking yes! That's amazing. That's all I want to do." You know what I mean? Or maybe like John Fogerty or something. That'd be great. Yeah. So there was my talking to somebody for yeah. So basically, if you're running, the conclusion is, if you can afford it, buy expensive stuff because it's nicer, I suppose. But if you gave John Fogerty or whoever, you know, the Buckfast caster and the peavey amp, they're going to sound a fuckload better than I do playing through. Well, this isn't a particularly expensive one, but one of my more expensive guitars, like the Westone there, you know, like a fancy guitar, through that with all my pedals, John Fogerty will still sound 10 times better than I do without any practice, and I could spend all day setting it up. So yes, it's all in your fingers. And it's all in your head. So rock the lockdown. Rock and roll. Sorry, this was 32 minutes of just talking, but hey, it's like there's absolutely fuck all, and I'm starting to run out of things to watch on YouTube because all the people that I do videos for, or I watch videos from, I've kind of watched them all now, you know, like a couple of weeks into these things, and I'm watching crazy shit now. It's like I'm watching stuff on vintage video games. Why the fuck am I interested in that? There's a guy called Metal Jesus I'm watching just now, and it's just like, it's like one of those things that, I've said this before, see when you get somebody who's enthusiastic about what it is they're talking about, it compels you to watch it and it becomes exciting. And it's, even if it's not something I'm particularly interested in, and I do remember my wee brother had a Super Nintendo, so I remember F-Zero, and that might be about all I remember on the Super Nintendo. It's a good game. And I've got a wee Game Boy DS which I bought for going to China on the plane, even though I can't go to fucking China just now because of this virus. So I'm kind of sort of moderately interested in it. But it's because the guy's so enthusiastic about it, you end up getting caught up with it, and I'm kind of interested in watching him playing his vintage Super Nintendo and all these things. What else am I watching? I've told you before, there's a German guy who makes crossbows. It's like, I've never... Why would I be interested in crossbows? But this guy's like pure yes, and he makes these mad. He's kind of like me with the guitar wiring, apart from he's crossbows. So he's made these crossbows that he's got like a magazine you can fit 10 bolts in, and he's like, it's all made of plywood and bits stick out, and he's that pure, haha, watch this. You know, firing off rapid fire crossbow bolts, and it's like pure, yeah, I'm never going to buy a crossbow, I'm not interested in them, but I still find it entertaining to watch. I've kind of got bored of vintage Star Wars figures now. Been watching a guy who does vintage Star Wars figures. It's like, why the fuck am I interested in that? And it's like, why do I know like what the expensive ones are now? I suppose if I ever seen, if I remember in a charity shop and I see Star Wars figures, I'll know, oh, that's worth a lot of money, you know. It's like I don't know why I'm interested in that. It's just because the guy who talks about it's pure enthusiastic, and I get a bit caught away with it, and I'm trying to kill time, or not kill time, but you know, I'm bored sitting in the house with nobody to talk to. I actually wonder if this channel's a wee bit like that, maybe. Anyway, rock on, stay safe, and my new thing about going to the shop is, that's about the fourth time I've tried to end this, isn't it? I've heard that you're meant to take your shoes off, because shoes can transmit the virus as well, so I've now got a pair of shoes sitting at the door, so I go into the shop, the one shop I go to every 4 days, I come in and now take my shoes off, leave them at the door, empty the shop and out the fridge, go and wash my hands. So hopefully I'll survive this. Rock and roll.